Well, this is one of the pilots on board the American Airlines flight, 28-year-old Samuel Liley. In a post, Liley's father said, quote, "Now it hurts so bad I can't even cry myself to sleep. I know I'll see him again, but my heart is breaking."
Also on board that flight, Ian Epstein. He was a 53-year-old flight attendant based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. His family says he leaves behind 2 children.
Also identified tonight, the crew chief on board the Black Hawk helicopter. This is Ryan O'Hara. Our sister station in Atlanta confirmed the news earlier this morning. He leaves behind a wife and a 1-year-old son.
There are also local victims to talk about. Some people on the plane were part of the Fairfax County public school system.
The district put out a statement saying in part, quote, "Our hearts are broken as we learn that we have lost members of our FCPS family in the tragic accident at Reagan National Airport last night. I invite you to join me in praying for our families, friends, and colleagues that we know have lost loved ones in this tragic accident."
Now, some people on the plane were also former Loudoun County students. The district said, quote, "This unimaginable loss has deeply affected our community, and with great sorrow, we have learned that multiple victims were former LCPS students. Many other Loudoun families have also been impacted. We extend our deepest condolences to all those grieving in the wake of this tragedy."
We're learning that members of a Prince George's County-based labor union were also on board that flight, Flight 5342. Steamfitters Local 602 confirms that 4 of their members died in the crash.
The union represents over 5,000 journeymen, apprentices, and helpers in the D.C. region. In a statement on social media, union leaders said in part, quote, "As more information continues to come in, we are heartbroken to confirm that 4 members of UA Steamfitters Local 602 were among the victims of the American Airlines flight yesterday." The entire United Association is grateful to first responders who worked tirelessly throughout the night and who will continue to investigate what happened.
Well, this tragedy has affected many families locally and many in the figure skating community as well. We know that local figure skaters were on that plane heading back from a competition in Wichita.
John Duran is in Ashburn at one of the rinks that those children used to skate at. John, tell us about this. I mean, this is just devastating.
Simone, it's been heartbreaking to see. This is the Ashburn Ice House, and all day we have seen parents with their children, most of the children in skating gear with flowers in their hands and a lot of them with tears in their eyes. This is, we're told, where many of the children skated at the Ashburn Ice House. I want to take you inside. That's where we're told skaters, people that knew the figure skaters that died, are grieving right now, and you see a memorial has begun to set up and people keep adding to it as recent as a few minutes ago. Today I spoke to a local figure skating coach who says he didn't know the kids who lost their lives personally, but his ex-wife Ina Volyanskaya, or Ina V as the skaters I've talked to have called her, was their coach and was on the plane last night. He tells me the kids were 12 to 15 years old, but a skater I talked to here says some of them were 10 or 11 years old. They stayed beyond the national championships that happened in Wichita for some elite coaching.
These kids were just doing an extra thing. It's called a developmental camp, and they stay for an extra couple of days, and then they go off and do this, and then they just took their flight home, and unfortunately they didn't make it home. And it's too hard to even wrap around how many people are affected by this in our skating community. One of our students, she was going to be on that flight and then took an earlier flight. So that even for all of us is like so crazy.
Yeah, Lancel tells me the group that was on the plane was staying for a developmental camp that only 25 to 40 kids across the country are invited to. He says these kids were the future of skating, and many of them from right here in our area. I also spoke to skaters and their parents as they've been going in and out today, and they say Ina V, who is the well-known coach here that was on the plane last night, was supposed to be coaching right now. Some skaters are getting on the ice, but it is mainly grieving going on inside the Ashburn Ice House right now. This is a very tight-knit community that is going through a lot today. Larry, Simone.
As we know all too well, these tragedies don't happen in a vacuum, right? They impact communities. John, just as you were explaining, thank you for bringing us into that community tonight. We appreciate it.
Well, we're also learning that members of the Skating Club of Boston were on that flight. Athlete Jenna Han and her mother Jen, athlete Spencer Lane and his mom Christine, Vadim Nomov, and Jenya Shishokova were also on board.
Today we heard from Douglas Lane. He's learning to live without his wife and his son.
In his home club in Boston was just loved by everyone, from the adults running the club to the smallest skaters to the people that are, competing for a shot at the Olympics. They all just adored him.
The skaters were all in Kansas for a national development camp related to the U.S. Figure Skating Championships.